to Simon Crayford briefly with some news on Jack Miller. Simon.
Yeah, guys, I can't get the official reason for Jack stopping, but I believe I heard him say a customary
rare on that RC213V, but sadly that's Alex Marquez's third crash of the weekend. His opening Grand Prix of 2022 comes through a premature ending as well, when he was fighting just outside of the top 10 with Miguel Oliveira.
Cast your minds back to pre-season testing when we were in Japan test earlier this year. We thought, and with good reason, that KTM were in a world of trouble. They seemed in all sorts of problems back in pre-season testing, which just underlines what an incredible performance Brad Binder is putting in here to run in second place. He's losing a little bit of ground on this lap to Paul Espargaro, who's been pretty comfortable. He's put a bit of time back in this third sector now of the lap. But KTM seemed in a world of trouble back in pre-season testing. They made a step forward at the Mandalika test, but we never thought that we'd see Brad Binder not just running second, but keeping Paul Espargaro in lead, well and truly within range.
Paul Espargaro right now looks everything the rider that he wasn't last year. It all looks quite easy, it's all smooth, it's all clean. Last year it was like a bucking bronco. I mean, how many times did that motorcycle send him into orbit, send him over the moon? They're already now trying to get the switches on. They switch the mappings to try and maybe preserve a bit more tyre life as we get into the second half of this Grand Prix. Marquez has just fired in his personal best lap of the race, a 1:54.643. That put him about a 10th clear of the three ahead of him. Paul Espargaro, Binder and Enea Bastianini, they all exchanged 54.7s. The yellow flag's out again in sector 1.
We'll keep an eye on that. Miguel Oliveira looks like he's dropping down the time speeds. I think it's the KTM, unfortunately, who's gone down. So a bit of a mixed night then for KTM. Here is Miguel Oliveira. Looks like that's on the outside of turn 1.
Well, he was so up and down last year, Miguel Oliveira. He said coming into this 2022 season he had to have a lot less spikes, be more consistent, flat line on his performance. He's down at turn 1, unfortunately. This just continues his horrendous run. He scored just 9 points in the last 9 races of last year with 4 DNFs. And unfortunately, he's kicked off the new year in the gravel track as well. Far from the ideal start for Oliveira, kicking him while he's down, of course. His teammate Binder locked in the fight for the victory, still hunting down Paul Espargaro.
Yeah, the Suzukis are starting to go into this. Joan Mir has now joined this leading group in the 154s. He's just about matching this leading group, being headed by Paul Espargaro. We're on board now with Marc Marquez, trailing Enea Bastianini. Marc Marquez, as Matt said a moment ago, setting his personal best lap of the race last time around. It's difficult to know at this stage whether Marc Marquez is just sitting pretty in 4th place. He seemed to want to talk his chances down over the course of the weekend and challenging for the win and for the podium. It's pretty clear at this stage, half distance in this MotoGP race, that Marc Marquez is well and truly in the podium battle. But is he just holding fire alone and keeping his powder dry in 4th place, or does he have more to offer?
And what's pretty clear is the improvements that we knew had come from HRC. The powerhouse like Honda were never going to take the last couple of years lying down, were they? There's Nadia Padovini, of course, the boss of the Gresini team, the widow of the late former 125cc world champion Fausto Gresini, fantastically carrying on Fausto's legacy here, forming the MotoGP team. Oh no! That's Pecco Bagnaia, and who's he taken out? Oh dearie me, friendly fire. 2 top factory Ducatis out of the opening Grand Prix of the season. We're going to have to look at that one on the replay. They can't believe it. What a disastrous night for the Ducati Lenovo team. Jack Miller already out and bitterly frustrated and angry. And now Pecco Bagnaia, he runs over to console Jorge Martin. That looks like then Bagnaia was the guilty man. He apologises to Jorge Martin. Jorge Martin looks like he takes it on the chin. But what a disaster. Up the inside then comes Bagnaia. He's at the inside line. Front end just tucks right from underneath him. Trail break into the first corner on the outside. Poor on Martin, hung out to dry, nowhere to go. He gets clattered. The poleman Martinator out and Pecco Bagnaia out as well. What drama in the opening Grand Prix.
And what a disastrous opening night for Ducati. Nothing Jorge Martin could do. He was just being overtaken into turn 1 and found himself being scooped up into the gravel trap. Paul Espargaro, look, he's already looking like he's making a bit of a gap out of the front. He's a quarter of a second, 3/4 of a second, shall I say, clear out the front. And Bastianini, who's Ducati's sole hope now at the front of this Grand Prix, looking as if he wants to make a bid immediately to get into second place. You can see that factory Honda of Espargaro going off into the distance.
The highs and lows, the ups and downs of Grand Prix motorcycle racing. Ducati last year finished 2021 jubilant, joyous. They took their first ever podium lockout in Valencia in their Grand Prix history since they arrived back in 2003. It's been a start to 2022 they'll want to forget very, very quickly.
No Miller of action
Bagnaia in action. Jorge Martin, the pole man, wiped out by Pecco Bagnaia. You don't see Pecco Bagnaia make those kind of mistakes. He's going to be gutted. He'll be devastated, not for his own prospects, but the fact that he also wiped out Jorge Martin. Red faces on the red bike so far this weekend. Now, they're just still moving some of the debris under there. That's why the yellow flags have still been out in Sector 1. Back at the front, Pol Espargaro. This will be a popular win if he hangs on here with 10 laps to go in Qatar. He was really put through the mill last year, battered and bruised so many times. That Honda last year, the really unruly Honda, really did spit him and chew him up last season. But Pol Espargaro looking so good, so strong at the front of this Grand Prix still.
Let's quickly get a tech observation from Simon.
Yes, guys, you know, everybody's been mentioning the last 7 laps, 6 laps, something like that, a sprint to the end, and about tyres, you know. But something nobody has mentioned is fuel. This track, these bikes, full, you know, the amount of full throttle they use, and the tank size, they can't get the whole way on full power. So the teams have to cut it back at a certain point, and the most popular one last year was give it full power in the beginning till they settle in, you know, to get in your race position. Then switch it down to lower power to do the race through. They know they've got enough fuel to turn it back up to full power. And
last year, but Bastianini sweeps on through. Beast mode engaged yet again. He knew he had to make that move. He could see Pol Espargaro just started with a bit of daylight at the front. He runs a little bit wide. He cuts it back, chops Brad Binder's nose off as they sweep through the turn 2, but Bastianini gets the job done. He's up in the second, exactly what he's testing as well. So Enea Bastianini is still, of course, doing an amazing job. But you can just see from some of those other Ducatis, the GP22s, they're not quite at the level yet. They'll get there, I'm sure, of what the proven GP21 is. I've got to say, though, Bastianini is still wringing its neck. He's still riding out of his skin. Absolutely awesome job. Can he find a way to get back on par with Pol Espargaro, though, who still leads by about 1.3 seconds as we come into the final sector on this lap 14.
Yeah, much of that lap lead that Bastianini lost, those 3/10s in that second sector where he ran wide at turn 6. He has started to chip away back at it over the course of the rest of the lap. And how big a role is tyre choice going to play as the Graspini team urge their man on? Bastianini across the line, he does close the gap. He was slower on the lap overall, but having dropped the lead to 1.4 seconds in sector 2, he pulled 3/10 back in the second half of the lap. Pecco Bagnaia, the pre-season title favourite, no points for the Fantasy Ducati team for the opening Grand Prix of the season. Here's another look on board with Jorge Martin, and you're about to see Pecco Bagnaia slide into view.
Yeah, this is going to be a peeves Pecco, isn't it? He's going to be really angry with himself, first and foremost, that he made the mistake and then wiped out the innocent Jorge Martin. Nothing that Martin could do about that. He's one of the nicest guys in the paddock, Pecco Bagnaia. He's not a dirty rider. He's not a rider that makes those kind of rash mistakes. It can happen, though, when you're on the limit, when everybody's as fast as what they are in modern-day MotoGP. Even the very best can get caught out. Unfortunately, Jorge Martin involved as well. This is going to be an emotional podium potentially for Enea Bastianini. This was Fausto Grazzini's dream. He'd put all the foundations in place to bring back his own team in this MotoGP World Championship. Bastianini said pre-season his dream was to win a Grand Prix in MotoGP to honour Fausto's legacy. He's doing Fausto proud right now, that's for sure.
Just very quickly, Simon, in this Grand Prix is quite exceptional. You rode on board a moment ago with the world champion, Fabio Quartararo. He is pretty much in a lonely 8th place at the moment. He is 7 seconds off the lead and simply unable to match the pace of these guys at the front. But Bastianini is starting to motor. He's starting to loom for Repsol Honda. That gap now under a second.
Fabio Quartararo at the moment, the start of his world title defence is a pretty forlorn one, I'm afraid. He's down in 8th place. You can see Alex Rins there, fair distance ahead of him. He's not coming on.
As high as he? No, not quite, of Marc Marquez. But that Aprilia that impressed us through pre-season testing is living up to billing.
Yeah, Marc Marquez has got big bother here, hasn't he, from Aleix Espargaro. It just looks like at this stage of the Grand Prix, Marc Marquez has not got anything for his teammate Pol Espargaro or Enea Bastianini. He'll still have this eyes in 3rd place, I think. Here comes Aleix Espargaro. There's nothing wrong with the top speed of that factory Aprilia as well. Can we see the Espargaro brothers seem to be fighting together for the podium?
Big lap from Enea Bastianini, a quarter of a second quicker as Marc Marquez runs wide. He just about gets it back across to the right-hand side of the track to hold off Aleix Espargaro. But we are potentially looking It's a bit early to be saying this, of course, but we are potentially looking at an Espargaro family double on the podium. Brad Binder's not going to give that away too easily. He's still holding his own in third place, but Hasil Espargaro is one of the fastest riders on track. He's still in the 154s, but Bastianini is without question the danger man. He's still doing mid-154s on lap 16 of this Grand Prix. 154.5 last time was up at the front, of course. Both Repsol Hondas went for the soft option. Here comes Hasil Espargaro up the inside, and he leaves an L for Marc Marquez. Marc Marquez did not expect him in the career to be going faster in the first Grand Prix of the season, but Hasil Espargaro with some serious pace up into P4.
You just knew Marc Marquez was not going to give that one up without a fight, and he didn't. But Hasil Espargaro, it was tight, but he made it through. Now then, look at that gap coming down here. And Bastianini, we talked about it so many times last year, he was the master of tyre preservation. How many times did he come from so far back? He's just set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix down to just a couple of tenths. Espargaro trying desperately to cling on here to what will be a famous victory. On course though for an emotional win will be Enea Bastianini. He's right now on the rear tyre of the Repsol Honda man.
How much do you want it, Paul? He's going to be desperately searching for grip in these closing 5 laps of the race, and this is a symbol of just how competitive and just how deep the talent pool is in MotoGP. The first Grand Prix of the 2022 season, and we have 2 riders battling it out for their maiden Grand Prix victory in the class.
Yeah, now he's going to try and use a bit of the Ducati power, or will he try and attack before turn 16 and then try and fire away from Espargaro? I wonder what's going through the minds right now of the likes of Pecco Bagnaia and Jack Miller. This is the bike they rode so brilliantly well last year. They're both out of this Grand Prix, and the bike that they gave up last season, not through choice of course, is potentially on course to win the season-opening Grand Prix here in Qatar. They come through the fast right-handers. Espargaro still standing firm. A bit of a twitch there on the front end for Bastianini. It's all about your rear tyre choice now, and it looks like with that medium compound on the rear of that Gresini Ducati, it's better in the hands of Bastianini. Will he attack at turn 15? No, he's not going to take the big risk. It just looks like now it's a matter of time before he hits the front. Bide his time, be patient. He's got the better speed at this stage of the race than Espargaro. He doesn't need to take big risks. He doesn't need to be rash.
A little bit of a shake from the nose of that Honda for Espargaro as he came round turn 14. But here is where we expect the move to happen. And here Bastianini then pulls out a straight past Espargaro. Can Espargaro get back past? Does he have any grip on the brakes to get past? No. Bastianini gets his stop to Espargaro. Runs wide into turn 1.
That's game over for Espargaro. He did that in one of the Grand Prix here last year. The clash has been building. Wow, what's going through the thoughts here now of the Gresini team? And of course, the mistake from Espargaro now means that it's Binder and Marc Marquez back on the podium.
Brad Binder's in second. Espargaro's got back on in third. He's just managed to hold up his brother, but yeah, the Binders could soon be battling it out for the final podium position. The Suzuki challenge just hasn't materialised. Mir and Rins running solidly in the low 155s. They are closing in. Mir's closing in on the back of Marc Marquez, so we could see those two battling for fifth position, but this is the battle for the lead, and Enea Bastianini 4 laps away from history.
Well, Honda said they found some horsepower in the wing today. Clearly how that's all about the drive as well, that you get off that third gear final corner. Espargaro was desperately trying to resist. He just got a bit of slipstream behind Enea Bastianini, a bit of dirty air as well. He runs in hard, and that looks like it might be victory hopes over. Still on course for a potential top 3, a great way to start the year, but Enea Bastianini, it's in his hands now. What an emotional win this would be. This team was set up by Fausto Gresini before he tragically lost his life just over 1 year ago to COVID-19. I'm sure Fausto is looking down now and being so proud of what he left behind. His widow down there in pit lane, she can barely watch the action. And Enea Bastianini on course for what would be a truly emotional and remarkable win. What a way to kick off 2022 in MotoGP.
Yeah, what an incredible podium we're potentially staring at. 3 laps to go as they come across the line now. Brad Binder has just kept himself in the fight. He's not faded like we thought he might. With those medium tyres, they're really helping him in the closing stages of this Grand Prix. He leads Espargaro over the line by 0.3 of a second and looks pretty comfortable there in second place. Espargaro pole, may soon be looking over his shoulder with his older brother Hasil Espargaro. Can Aprilia still find their way onto the podium in this season opener?
I'll be gobsmacked if there's any fingernails left in that Gresini garage right now, because this is real tense stuff. Big switch again. Look at Espargaro. He's got nothing left in that soft rear tyre. He had a twitch going into turn 4, a twitch coming out of it as well. There is Nadia Padovani, the Gresini Racing MotoGP team principal. I'm sure the tears are going to be flowing post-race here for Enea Bastianini. Can hang on, he looks so good, he looks so comfortable. What a star Ducati have in the making here as well. This was a guy that only won 5 races in his Moto3 career. He went on to win the Moto2 World Championship, and a new star is being born and created right here now. What an 6, that was 8 tenths faster than Fabio Quartararo. So Quartararo actually might lose that 8th spot and drop that down to 9.
Absolutely, chasing in opening night for the reigning world champion. One of the battles I think we will be seeing on this final lap is between the two Espargaro brothers. Here they are, Pol Espargaro running in 3rd position, but Aleix Espargaro is one of the few riders in these closing stages able to still lap in the 154.
Pol Espargaro has just got nothing left in that soft rear tyre. We just saw him there coming out of turn 6 on the gas. It was like a bucking bronco, bouncing and pumping. He's just now hanging on for dear life, trying to hope that soft rear tyre hangs in there, and he hopes behind him. The tears are already flowing. We can't underestimate just what a special moment this will be in the history of the MotoGP World Championship. Fausto Gresini was one of the most long-serving and loyal members of this MotoGP World Championship. He had teams in Moto3, teams in Moto2, teams in MotoGP. He loved and lived for racing. And there is his wife, Nadia, looking on, and she is about to see Enea Bastianini, a man who, of course, was given his big break in World Championship racing by Fausto Gresini, a man who he had faith in, a man who he believed in, and now that faith and belief is being repaid big time. We're going to choke up here in the commentary box as well here, aren't we? Because Enea Bastianini has, what, just over 5.3 kilometres to go between himself and the most emotional of Grand Prix victories here in Qatar.
Yeah, Brad Binder, to his credit, isn't giving up on this just yet. He was a tenth quicker once again on that penultimate lap, but it will only take a mistake now for Enea Bastianini to lose this one. Brad Binder, though, 2nd place incoming for the first Grand Prix of the season for the factory KTM team. What a start for Francesco Guidotti, and that new Honda that we've talked about all winter looks like it might just hang on to a podium. Pol Espargaro's got 0.4 of a second in his pocket over his older brother Aleix, and Marc Marquez still holding firm ahead of Joan Mir. Mir doesn't appear to have enough to close in for 5th position.
You can see there the team views on the left-hand side of your picture. Enea Bastianini now coming through this 2nd sector. I don't think Brad Binder's going to be close enough to try and deny him this famous victory. It looks like as well Pol Espargaro's going to hang on for 3rd place. Great job by him on the Repsol Honda. It looks like he's trying to get on that soft tyre, but it's all about one man and one team. Enea Bastianini on the Gresini Racing Ducati, the year-old GP Ducati 21. He threatened this when he topped the timesheets. He topped the leaderboard in that official test in Sepang. He said all along, this new bike is capable of winning. I can fight for the championship on this bike. I'm not sure Timothy could believe him on that year-old motorcycle, but here he goes, on course, well set to win the opening Grand Prix here in Qatar.
Yeah, Binder's closing in on this final lap. It's down to 0.6 of a second, that lead, so Binder is just keeping the Gresini team sweating right the way down to the checkered flag, but only 2 more corners to go. Enea Bastianini just needs to keep it smooth through turn 15 and only turn 16 to go for a hugely emotional victory and a historic occasion for the beast.
Wow.
Binder's closing.
Binder is closing, and Enea Bastianini's got to be careful here. They come out of the final corner. Enea Bastianini surely on course for a famous victory. The beast reigns supreme in the Middle East. What an emotional victory for Enea Bastianini and the Gresini Ducati team. Emotional scenes now will be down in that garage. Congratulations to Brad Binder. He takes 2nd for KTM. Pol Espargaro does indeed hang on for 3rd.